Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first of potentially 9 live streams. We're recapping day 1 of the throws, the 2025 Track and Field World Championships. Um, it was a crazy day. It is currently 2:57 AM in Tokyo. Just promoting on Twitter right now. Um, Today, good, good start to the week. We had in the morning men's shot put qualifying, women's discus qualifying, and then in the afternoon, or I guess the evening, we had the banger that was the men's shot put final. And oh my God, it was genuinely insane. Um, let's start with men's shot. And really, the only note from qualifying is the fact that Peyton Otterdahl did not qualify through to the final, which obviously heartbreaking. Not just because he was my gold medal favorite, but because Peyton's just a really great guy. So it really sucks to see his season end this way. I talked to him a little bit after, and he was like throwing with a pretty significant like wrist wrap on, and it turns out he picked up an elbow injury after Zurich, the Diamond League final between then and Worlds, and he was feeling okay coming into the day, but then it flared up again during warm-ups. So that's kind of explains away his he threw 1978 in round 1 and then fouled each of his second 2 throws. So, tough day for Peyton, but, obviously, sometimes there's just circumstances you can't really control, so he's gonna be back next year, no doubt about it. That was kind of the biggest surprise, I guess, out of the qualifying round. The big thing to watch in the qualifying round was the first official throws of Ryan Krauser's season, and he came out and did what he always does, and the auto cue was 21:35, I think. He threw 21:37 on his first throw to knock that out, to set a season's best, I guess, because it was his first official throw of the season, and I mean, he when you see Ryan do his thing where he like, we joked about it afterwards, in the mix zone, when he does his thing of just getting within, like, 5 centimeters of the auto cue line, you're like, "Okay, he's back." So when that happened, I was feeling pretty good about where he could be at, when the final rolled around. So then we get to the final, and it's kind of a slow start to this one. Also, I just wanna say that, World Athletics changed the rules of how finals work, and they are stupid because now, instead of going 3 rounds with 12 people, then cutting down to 8, they now go 3 rounds with 12 people, then cut down to 10 for round 4, then down to 8 for round 5, and then down to 6 for round 6. The fact that only 6 like, they've already started doing this with the Diamond League a little bit, but the fact that only 6 people get a 6th throw at the World Championships is so unbelievably stupid. Anyway, nothing too crazy the first couple rounds. Trip Hippery came out and was throwing really well, and Ryan was hitting some bombs. 2141 in the first round, 2199 in round 2, 2179 in round 3. That 2199 would have ended up being good enough for gold. So kind of a spoiler alert there on what ends up happening, I guess. Um, but I mean, there were some big marks, like Tom Walsh hit a big early one, going 21:58 in the first round, but there wasn't anything that super high end stuff that we know that all of these guys are capable of producing. And then we get to The last 2 rounds were insane. Um, so also in on his second throw, right after Ryan went 21.99, Leo Fabry had gone 21.83. So we had 2 guys 21 high pretty soon into the competition. Oh man, we've got 2 people in here. That is honestly more than I was expecting. Um, so it was a good battle between those 2 guys early on. Tom Walsh in the mix too, Tripp throwing well. And then you get to round 5 and things just explode because first you have, um, Tom Walsh went 21.94, season's best for him, I believe, moves comfortably into a silver medal position. Leo Fabry comes back, goes 21.94 as well, but he's ahead of Tom Walsh on countback because Leo's next best mark was 21.83, and Tom's was only 21.58. So then you're sitting with Krauser, 1 at 22. Oh, Ryan goes 22.34 in round 5. That's where he hits, his season's best. Like, it's his season opener. He's been dealing with an elbow injury all year, and 22.34 is a mark that Leo, Joe, Josh, Peyton, that only 4 other guys in the world have hit this year, and he just comes out and just nails it in his first meet. Ryan Krauser is so good. Um, but So, going into the 6th round, you've got Ryan, and then Leo, and Tom, and then in round 6, Uziel Munoz, baby. He goes 21.97, tacks, I believe, 9 centimeters onto his previous Mexican record, comes up a hair shy of 22, and he ends up hanging on to silver. And to the best of my knowledge, that's the first ever global medal by a Mexican thrower. And I mean, he was putting together a really good series. Like, he was bound for his best finish ever at global championship, no matter what. And then in round 6, he just finds another gear. And that was honestly, all of these guys were so much fun to watch the entire competition because the energy was just like turned up to 10. Like Trip, um, Tom when he hit his big one, Leo after basically every throw, like, everyone was just so pumped, and it was so much fun to watch, and I think, like, for Ryan was like that too, and I think a big part of that was, like, Ryan surprised himself today. He talked in the mix zone, he was like, I had no idea where I was actually at before this competition because like, he had absolutely no marker of, like, what kind of shape he might have been in. And he just comes out here and just goes 22.34 and wins a 3rd straight world title, a 5th straight global outdoor title, his 7th global title overall, including world indoors. Um, the man is just freaky good. And when you think about the things he's had to go through the last couple years, like, it's he is getting everything thrown at him you could possibly imagine and still just dominating. Blood clots in 2021 or in 2023, almost doesn't fly out to Budapest for Worlds. He throws 23.51, the second best throw ever. Last year, dealing with some elbow injuries, doesn't open his season until US trials, wins the US championship. Month later, wins the Olympic gold for the 3rd time. And then this year, like, this is, I think, by far the most improbable, just because there was so much that had gone wrong, and there was so much in the competition that could have gone wrong, and he managed to just pull this out like he always does. And he said, like, he's really, really proud of this gold, and he should be because 22.34 is an insane mark given everything he's had to deal with this year. He literally said, like, these were his first hard throws since September, which I assume he means the Diamond League final last year. And then I believe what he said was for the last several months, he's been able to take like 6 throws a day, like a couple days a week, and that is like the extent of it. And then he just threw himself into the fire here, and as always, came out the victor on the other side of it. Ryan Krauser is unreal. For I already talked a little bit about how big this was for Uziel. I mean, 2197 is a massive mark, and I think he's, like, in his early 30s, but I mean, coming through this way. I will say, I wish I spoke Spanish because I would have interviewed him in the mix zone, and I think that would have been really cool, but he only speaks Spanish, and I don't think they had an interpreter there, which kinda sucked, but that was disappointing. I'll be better next time. But yeah, big day for Uziel, obviously. Big day for Mexican throwing as well. Leo picks up another medal. He hung on to third ahead of Tom on countback. Heartbreaking for Tom after the way he just built this season on the heels of last year, where there was so much frustration and disappointment with injuries. And I spoke to Tom after, and like you could tell how much this one stung. Um, and yeah, it was I mean, it's tough to see, but like that's just part of what makes this sport so great is that there are so many of the absolute best to ever do it going head to head every competition, especially every world championship. And sometimes you're just gonna have breaks like that, you know? Chuck Enigwechi finishes 5th, 21:52. He hit that in round 6. Um, and it's his best day ever at a major championship. Caps off a really impressive year for Chuck. He became the first African man to ever break 22. He's placed really well, really consistently in diamond leagues and on kind of the European circuit. And I mean, Chuck's a great guy, and it was a really, really great season for him. Tripp landed in 6th, which is, not necessarily where he'd want to be, I assume. But 2150 for 6th in a global championship, like that is nothing to hang your head about. His season indicated there could have been something more there, like especially with Peyton not in the mix. Like he definitely could have been closer to medal contention. Um, but regardless, like he put together a good series, like 2150, 2120, 2105, and then just couldn't quite find it the last 2 rounds to really make something happen. But still a good day for Tripp. Josh Otunde finished 7th at 2114, and then rounding out the top 8 was Scott Lincoln at 21 flat. Yeah, this one it delivered the intrigue of what Ryan was gonna look like. I mean, I tweeted about this, but I was literally watching the final. I had been sitting still for 30 minutes, and my heart rate was at 99 beats per minute in the middle of round 6. Um, and it was awesome, and I loved every single beat of it. Um but yeah, I mean, this was a special competition, and I talked about this a little bit on the Sidious Mag, post meet live show, but it feels like the competitive juices were, like, the same as Doha, but obviously the marks, like, everything was, like, a meter back of what Doha was, and I think this was like, I really enjoyed this competition because it kind of solidifies the fact that, like, the thing that makes shot put the most fun is the competition. The really big marks are awesome, but at some point, we can get kind of, like, desensitized to that. And so, with the way that, like, these last 2 rounds shook out and all of the moving and all the drama, like, it would have been just as good if the marks for, like, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th were 21:32 and 21:29 versus 22:85 and 22:82. Like, the competitiveness and the head-to-head nature of this is what makes it so intriguing. And so I think today just a really good reminder of how good shot put can be, even if the marks aren't as, like, historically deep as we've kind of been spoiled and come accustomed to recently. So that's it for the men's shot. Now let's touch a little bit on women's discus from this morning, if I can find it. The World Athletics, what's it called? The live results page is not super great. Um, okay, we've got women's discus pulled up. So Group A, or first of all, we'll just go through the auto cues. So we had 5 women hit the auto qualifying mark of 64 meters. Sandra Elkasevich, 66.72. Jorinda Van Klinken, 66.39. Val Allman, 66.07. Feng Bin, 65.52. And Lagi Tasaga Collins, 64.99. Of those women, I believe Val, Yorinda, and Feng Bin were one and done. Sandra took 2 attempts to get it, and then Lagi got it on her 3rd. Um, Not necessarily a ton of surprises in this one. Alita Van Dalen made it through, which is very exciting to see. Um, Obviously, go Gators. I guess kind of the most surprising absence that didn't make the top 12 was, Germany's Kristen Pudenz. She's had a really good season and is in the same stadium. She won Olympic silver in 2021, so that was kind of unfortunate to see, and the one that really did kinda break my heart a little bit was Melina Robert Michon, 61.24. She finishes 15th. This would have been her 10th world championship final, so it's not like she's missing out on much, but it would have been so cool to hit that number. Um, for the women that did make it through, Val, she threw 66.07, like, that's expected. I think for Loggy, I think that's a really good sign, 64.99, especially battling through the adversity she had to earlier on in the series. Kinda just building that, like, thicker skin, I guess, for when things might go wrong in the final. Yorinda, I mean, she just walked in there, threw 66.39, got the job done right away. When that's her I think that might be her 2nd best mark of the season. It's up there, with what she's been able to do this year, so really good stuff out of Yorinda. I'm feeling really good about my silver medal pick at the moment. Although, Sandra Okasevich, her 1st one fouled into the cage, and then her 2nd one, she goes 66.72, which is, I think, 25 centimeters off where her season's best is at right now. Like, that's a huge mark. It's gonna be really tough to keep her off the podium, I think. And then Bin Feng, or Feng Bin, she hasn't competed in a while, I believe, at least competed internationally in a while. And when she has this year, like, she hasn't looked like the Feng Bin where we've become accustomed to, but she comes out here and smacks, uh, like, meter and a half, almost PB or season's best, I think, going 65.52. That's a really kind of frightening mark, um, for me at least. Not for Bo, because I think Bo had her medaling, but for me, who did not have her medaling, I am a little concerned because it sure sounds like she's gonna find a way to pull her Feng Bin magic and still land on the podium. Um, Vanessa Kamga kinda snuck into the final. She also took a big 3rd round throw, like Lockie, to get in there. But yeah, this women's discus final, which is tomorrow night, is gonna be really good. In the morning, we've got women's hammer qualifying, which I just can't even imagine what chaos that might bring. Um, but yeah, this hopefully in the next couple days, I won't be doing this at 3 in the morning, especially when I have to wake up at, like, 7:30 for the morning session tomorrow. Um, but for now, that is all I've got. So, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the people who actually hopped in here while we were live. That was pretty cool. Um, I'll probably do this tomorrow too, and then see if I actually wanna commit to it. Um, but we will find out. Please let me know in the comments any, tips or suggestions or anything, or if this format works. And that is all I've got. So Worlds is happening. Uh, Stay tuned on, Twitter, Instagram, and the YouTube channel now, for interviews every single day, every single session, because we've got people do just turn up for throwing events once a year and smoke everyone like Ryan today. You know, we can't really argue with that. Ryan did turn up once a year and smoked everyone today. There is that little part of me that makes me go, "Man, this would have been cool if Joe was here." But unfortunately, that's not the way the cookie crumbled. All right, I'm getting distracted and I need to go to bed. So, yeah, stay tuned for all the action tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next time.